Once again, welcome to Activate 2.0. I believe you've been enjoying the podcast thus far. Have you taken time to jot down and think about the things that our guest speakers have shared with us that would be edifying, inspiring, and that would contribute to our lives in general? Today we have again Dr. Atimoe with us all the way from Dundee in Scotland, the United Kingdom. As a matter of fact, he spoke to us previously, for those of you who have not listened to the podcast that talked about self-identity. You might as well just go over to our YouTube channel, The Anchored Lives, so you could go listen to his session on self-identity. Today we have him again. Such a privilege to have him with us on the studio, and he's going to be talking about mind transformation and mind recalibration. I wouldn't spend time so much on giving him an introduction because we've introduced him already in our previous session. So please, again, do well to go over to our YouTube channel to listen, to watch, and be blessed. And just before I continue, I'd like you to say thank you so much for watching, for joining, for your consistency, for your hunger in ensuring that something good is born out of you, and your purpose, your desire, your self-identity is activated. And so please do well to share, to subscribe, and to place your comments on the comment section. So with Jesus' joy, I'd like you to welcome with me Dr. Atimoe. Once again, you're welcome, sir.
Thank you for having me.
So good, and I'm so happy to have you here
Same
again.
here.
Thank you for the privilege. Thank you for the sacrifice.
Pleasure is mine.
And we're really happy. We enjoyed your session last time. It was really nice.
Glad to know.
We could see comments and testimonies coming in from people who say, wow, yes, I'm no longer going to commit suicide anymore.
Right.
Yeah, I'm inspired. I've started speaking to friends. You talked about, people going over to 5 set of people, the critics, your parents, I think your mentor, your friend, and let them write something about you, and then bring all of those things together and begin to analyze them, right? So people have begun to take up their responsibility and their assignment to see that they are transformed and then things grow. So thank you so much, sir, for such an insightful time. You're called the Mind Doctor, and this is the reason why we give you this session to speak about mind recalibration and transformation. There was a story about an eagle, and I think for lack of proper parenting, let me put it that way now, the eagle happened to grow amongst chickens, amongst birds. It happened that the eating pattern, the growth pattern was different from other ones, and one of the days an eagle was flying up and made a noise, a beacon, and for the first time that eagle knew that that was not the place they were meant to be, and so they attempted to fly, and they flew and left the chicken there. Some persons today are actually in the wrong place, and that's affected their minds, and most people are not growing. I mean, in all spheres, both spiritually. I think the Bible even talked about it, said, be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. I also think that people today don't grow, even in finances. The people who don't grow, they believe that, if I get rich, I'll go to hell.
That's right.
Yeah, and then they look out for a scripture that talked about it, and they center on it, and they've forgotten that the streets of heaven are made with gold.
That's right.
So God is not a poor God, right? So most persons have not transformed their mind, and so I would believe your expertise and your wealth of knowledge that you have with regards to things that pertain to the mind and soul, and so we would really want you to speak about it today. So today, sir, I'd like you to explain to us, for a starting, what exactly is mind recalibration?
Interesting. Thank you for having me once again.
Thank you so much, Dr.
I can spend 5 hours talking about the human mind, unscripted, unprepared. So, as a note of warning, I don't know how long this session is going to last for, but I'm going to talk from my heart. All right. Where did I start from? Then I'll share a testimonial and then come to your question. Okay.
But just before you do that, would you like to give us a definition, something that people can hold on to?
So mind recalibration, or we say mind transformation, is mind change.
So you're saying that mind recalibration is similar or is synonymous to the word mind transformation?
Mind transformation. Okay. So to recalibrate, actually, I think it's an engineering word.
Yeah.
It's an engineering word.
Or like alignment.
Alignment, to recalibrate it, to bring it back to how it is supposed to be.
Yeah.
To read correctly.
That's right.
To take the right measurement.
That's right.
Yeah. Now, when you now come to mind transformation, they say trans. Now, one, you have in electricity, you have the transformer. It takes something from one point into another and distributes it. And then you say some things have been transferred, moved from one point into another. Now, when you say transformation, now you move from a point, that's a trans, right? Formation, it has to go through a process. Nothing valuable goes through an easy process.
That's right.
Neither gold nor diamond, even iron.
That's right.
They go through certain heat.
That's right.
Pressure. So to transform the mind, you have to go through a process, and the end product is usually different from the raw material that it starts from. So all I'm just trying to say is mind transformation, recalibration is a form of alignment to what it is supposed to be, where it is beneficial to both the owner or the user and of course the external world.
All right, good. Thank you so much, sir.
So now coming to where my story came from, looking at where I come from and what change happened. It took time, but then I saw it started first from within. You cannot change your world except you've changed your mind. You cannot conquer the world until you've conquered your mind.
That's right.
Let me say this way. Let me give this illustration. A man returns from work. He has a bunch of keys with him. His car key, his generator key, the key to his bedroom. He sits in the living room, on his couch and is watching the telly. And then suddenly the light goes off. And I say, oh my God, the bunch of keys falls off. And then as he tries to pick it, trying to look for a group in the dark, he couldn't find it. And as he looks through the window, the street light turns on. And then he says, it does not make any sense to stay here in the dark looking for my car keys when there's light out there. He gets up and goes out under the street lights and begins to look for the keys. A generous neighbor comes to him and says, oh, what are you looking for? My car keys. And then he goes around searching. And then later he asks, where did you say it fell? Say it fell inside. But I feel it is dumb looking for the thing in the dark when there's light out here. And then the person said, do you mean to tell me that the keys fell inside in the dark? He said, yeah, because there's light here. So for the light to shine out there, it has to shine from within. Now, for somebody who seems to be shining out there and doesn't have light on the inside, give that person time. Time will tell. He will fade away. He will fizzle out. So when I began to realize how the mind works and how it began to influence me and how things began to change organically, I took time to begin to study the human mind. And then I realized that mind transformation is actually where it all begins. Leadership, human capital development, you as an individual, as a pastor, as a clergy, as a manager, as a parent, as a child. It starts from the mind. Even Christianity, to be born again, the Bible says that you need to believe in Christ from your heart before you even confess.
That's right.
So it starts first.
Rema.
Any and everything starts from within. You can be. This is not motivational speaking. This is scientifically proven. You can be, do, have anything.
Amazing.
Just one quick thing. When we talk about neuroplasticity, I want to go into the scientific aspect of it, but just to bring it to to layman on the street. They used to say a fool at 40 is a fool forever. That came up from when someone is at 40, his brain cannot grow again. All right, because his cells cannot grow again, it cannot reproduce, it can't learn more, it can't grow. Yes.
I never thought of that before, to be honest.
Absolutely.
I used to think, and come to think of it, I really never knew why they said
A fool at 40
is a fool. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's as a result of this idea that, of course, the brain cells cannot grow beyond that point. It cannot reproduce. All right. New neurons cannot fire together.
Yeah.
Right. But then now we know that there's what is called neuroplasticity. At 80, you can go back to school. When there's one part of the brain that is damaged, it can heal itself, or it can grow new cells. With this, you can be anything. You can grow. You can become better. You can be wealthy. You can be healthy. You can be happy. You can find a better relationship, regardless what the past has been. Scientifically proven.
Amazing.
Mind transformation.
Amazing.
And recalibration.
Amazing. Can you describe a time in your life where your mind transformation shifted?
Okay. I'll refer to 17. I think I said this in the previous session we had.
Yeah.
When I was 17, I'd lived prior.
And you lost your dad, I think?
Yeah, when I lost my dad, yes. So all my life before then, I'm the 6th child from a family of 9.
Oh, amazing.
My dad, my mom, 11. So could actually form a football team. All my life then, we've always lived in a one-room apartment. And I didn't know anything more than living in a one-room apartment. If you want to go to the toilet, you go outside. You want to go to the kitchen, you go outside. It was just one room. And then in terms of school, I wasn't smart. I didn't like school. I repeated twice. I dropped out of school once at 17. So in terms of wealth, education, and all of those things,
nothing was making out.
Nothing was working out. So this was my reality. And then I thought that, and I used to see aeroplane, but from a very far distance or from the sky, just the blink of light. I literally thought, I'm not exaggerating, that the aeroplane was made for some people, not for everybody. My biggest dream in life was to touch that metal called aeroplane. And then the biggest money I ever wanted to earn in my life, I'm not joking, was 50,000.
My goodness.
I can tell you the story behind 50,000 naira. 50,000 naira. That was the biggest money I was, if I could ever earn 50,000. Okay, let me even just talk about that. So my uncle, my dad's cousin who worked in Shell at the time, once gave my dad 50,000. And that money changed our life. So in my head, I'm like, if I could earn 50,000, if I could earn 50,000. Now, this was my reality. But at 71, I began to read one particular book. It was a documentary. Sorry, it was a story about Henry Ford.
Okay.
The Ford motor car we have, Henry Ford. And as I was reading about Henry Ford, I was seeing myself in him. Another person was Richard Branson. I was reading about him, I was seeing myself. And then I realized, so from just a book, I can see where this man started in chapter 1. And I'm seeing where he is. My goodness. Then I saw, had been hypnotized on my life. All they've been telling me all my life hasn't been true. The choice is actually mine. I could be whatever it was I wanted to be.
Oh, yes.
And then I began to walk towards that direction.
Amazing. That is a good one. That's a good one. Let's talk about mind recalibration and resetting of the mind. What mental patterns or habits did you have to let go for you to grow?
Mental patterns and habits. One, the thought of insufficiency is not enough. There is no money. We don't have. We cannot. Such pattern of we cannot do it. Such patterns of is not possible. Scarcity is not for us. It's for some other people.
Struggle before you get.
Struggle before you get, and all that. I'm a strong believer of work. I'm a strong believer of working hard. But then saying you have to struggle, you have to sweat your brows out. Talking about waiting for luck is for some people. Is not. No, I don't believe in those things. So I had to recalibrate, and this was painful. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have anybody teach me. I had to walk through this, teach myself, train myself, learn and relearn, program and how to reprogram my mind to get to a point where I can never be poor.
I like that.
No,
I like that.
I know, with God's grace, of course.
Yeah, definitely.
Sometimes when I teach and I talk about the human mind, the capacity, and then somebody says, I'm not hearing you talk about God, Jesus, and all that. I'm like, why are you talking like a very dumb person? Have you ever seen a farmer who goes to the field and is planting and is saying God, Jesus, or he's speaking in tongues? He just goes, digs the ground and plants the thing.
Yeah, the law.
It's just the natural law of the universe. There are certain laws that God has put in place for every one of us. Anything that goes up, it comes down.
Yeah, that's
it's a natural law of the universe.
As a matter of fact, I think I was having a conversation with someone, and the person said, there are people today who are wealthy, who are rich, who they don't know God.
China.
Yeah, China.
I'm sorry to just mention that.
Yeah, China, for example. And then I remember my answer to him was, where the earth is governed by laws, and so there is a law of hard work, there is a law of diligence, there's a law of consistency, there's a law of honor, there's a law of favor. All of these things, bring together, is what produces wealth. And I believe that some of these guys, like China, you've mentioned now, they also practice these things too. They're very hardworking.
It's a natural law of the universe. Anything that goes up, law of gravity, it will come down. When you plant something, I often like to use I like to use this illustration too. You find somebody who just meets somebody he doesn't like and then shoots at the person while the blood is dripping there in that garden. He picks a seed of corn, digs the ground by the blood, plants that seed, give it some time, that thing will grow. You now have a man who is speaking in tongues, skabalabush, he now goes by the road on the concrete, digs the ground and plants a seed of corn. That thing will die there. It's a natural law.
Yeah, because that's on the
so we're not talking about what you are capable of doing.
Don't over spiritualize.
And then they're saying, but you're not mentioning God. Is God not in the equation? I'm just talking about the law of the universe. God has put it there. Even Jesus said it, that God lets the rain to come both on the just and on the unjust.
Yeah, Matthew 5.
So that's the context in which I'm talking. So by the grace of God, of course,
definitely,
I've known so much that I'll be a coward if I don't act on them. So I don't have a choice not to be rich.
So the choice is whether you are rich or you are rich.
Yes.
There's no maybe I might be rich. It's
no.
I'm either going to be rich or I will always be rich. That's a good one. So how do you deal with negative self-talk or limiting beliefs?
Interesting question. Now, I think I need to address some mentors, public speakers, motivational speakers out there, maybe even some clergies. We say man of God, not God of man. Some of these people, I'm not talking about just preachers now, including mentors, they come out there on socials and different platforms, pretend as though they don't have this self-doubt time, self-sabotaging time, limiting beliefs. They act as though. There was something I posted, we're sharing just before we had this session, about an article I wrote recently. It feels lonely up there. And then one of my staff reached out and said, sir, to post this thing, this will make you look vulnerable to your audience. And I said, guess what? That's exactly what I want them to know. I want them to know that I'm also vulnerable.
You're human.
I'm human. There are times when I feel, what exactly is wrong with me? Can't I just take things easy? I'm afraid of failure. Am I sure I'm okay? Am I sure I'm going to do it? That shows you're human, and guess what that does? It helps that young boy there who's trying to find his path in life to my self-limiting beliefs is natural. It shows I'm human.
That's right.
In public speaking, when I started speaking at first, I was told, when you feel frightened, you have these dry lips on stage. When you feel nervous, when you just want to start talking or going up to stage, it's natural. It shows you're human. It shows you're human. So there are times you feel this way. Am I sure? Am I okay? Will I be able to do it? It shows you're human. In fact, when you begin to have that doubt, that's exactly when you should keep doing that thing, because you're actually breaking from certain limits to another point. But when you're in your comfort zone, your mind feels, I'm comfortable with that, let's just do it. You might be going around circles. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. How do you know when your mind needs recalibration?
Now, you might know. Somebody close to you might also know. Yes. So, but for you as an individual to know that your mind needs recalibration, when you begin to overly question your essence, again, it's natural to feel am I sure I'm doing the right thing? Am I sure I can do it? It's natural. But when you now overly question it,
Yes, sir.
that you're not even making any move, you want to question everything, you want to get all the boxes ticked before you go, you want validation from everybody around you before you move on. You have this cap, this mental ceiling over any and everything you want to do, because you don't see anybody who's done it around your inner circle. At that point, you need to get yourself out of that box of your mind and recalibrate. And sometimes somebody might tell you, I've noticed you've spoken to me about this, you've tried to do it, but then I didn't hear anything again. You've tried this other thing again. Now when I come to use excuses you're giving, I think something is wrong. And of course, it's a ceiling you've placed over your mind. At that point, you need, I think I need to do something.
Amazing. What role or how do you navigate the discomfort that comes with mind transformation? Because it causes a lot of discomfort, to be honest.
Yes. So mind transformation, like I said at the beginning, when you take gold, for example, the raw gold, or you have diamond, it goes through a lot of pressure and process. Now, for you to go through that kind of uncomfortable situation, it's not easy. So for you to move from a point where you are at to another point, it's going to be painful. And part of the pain might be loss of relationships, network, friends around you. Some people who do not align with your core values. Now, I did not know the very importance and essence of what I just said in terms of core values until recently, when a very dear and a close friend, one of my core values, I won't mention it, because of course this is something online and somebody might see it and then the person might get to know. But then the point is, this is somebody who believes so much in what I do and is willing to invest so much in terms of funds into my vision. But I realized that one of my core value happens not to be what he believes in. He jettisons, in fact he opposes it. Go with all your thousands of pounds, then we cannot work together. There's a point you get to where certain things now begin to matter to you than the others. So those points, what do you do? It's painful, it's difficult, it's lonely, but then you've got to do it. See, life is a beach. You've got to take it as it is, else you will go down with it. That person who is depriving you of £20,000, if you stand your ground and keep doing what you're doing, you find somebody who will beg you £200,000 in the near future. Just keep on keeping on at what you're doing. Absolutely.
That's a good one. So how do you balance growth with self-compassion? How do you balance growth with self-compassion?
This is a very interesting question, because sometimes we go to the extreme. Right? So we're trying to grow, and then we forget ourselves. We forget our limitations. We forget our inabilities, our inadequacies. Now, I am somebody that I don't use the word impossible because it's not in my dictionary. So let me say it's difficult. You can't even find me doing one thing at a time.
I think you mentioned that before.
You can't see me doing 2 things at a time. You can't see me doing 4 things at a time. No. I do 6, 7, 8, sometimes 11 things at the same time. Guess what? Half of the things I do have 50% chance of failure at the very start. I do not advise anybody to emulate that from me. No. It's weird. It's not normal. So that's extreme now when it comes to growth, right? So that's extreme. But then now when you're talking about, is it self-compassion, you call it now?
Self-compassion,
At the point when you are pitying yourself, you want to take things easy on yourself, you want to lick your sores and your wound, you want to get back to your shell, and then look after yourself a wee bit, like we're saying in Scotland, look after yourself a little bit. You want to be sure that you are not to this extreme, or to this extreme. You want to find out to balance things up.
That's a good one, sir. I'd like to ask you a question and then we'll begin to wrap up. What's the hardest belief or identity you had to let go of?
Poverty.
So why poverty?
I hate poverty.
I don't think anyone likes poverty.
Hey, now I like that. Let's get things a bit practical. Nobody likes poverty. But is everybody willing to pay the price
to become rich?
Not everyone. Let me dice things a bit. Now, I work so hard not to make money. In fact, most of what I do in the day is not for money, it's for purpose.
Yeah.
I work on the average between 13 to 17 hours every day, including Saturdays and Sundays, except 4 days in a month. Now, all of this is not just for money, to make money really. It's also for purpose. It's also for some of my future goals. But then I could not be working that hard and be poor. So are you willing to pay the price? Are you willing to walk your way through it? Shelve some weight, leave some network. I keep repeating network because you're an average of the 10 closest people to you. What you hear, what you read, what you smell, those you talk to, what you listen to, what you watch, these things unconsciously, they put a cap and a ceiling around your life. When somebody keeps telling you, no, forget that thing, we cannot do it. No, you cannot do it. Have you seen anybody? I will cut you off and leave you to when I'm so excited and then I'm thinking of somebody just fool myself with, then I'll call you. But when it comes to my real purpose, to quality time, I'm not going to talk to you. So are you willing to pay the price? So poverty is one thing for me. I hate it. And people who are lazy, people who often have this mentality of you have to give me, I have to get, and you're not willing to exchange that with the value. I try to reduce my relationship with them regardless who they are, even if they are relatives.
Did you hear that? Hate poverty. Wherever you are, go on to the comment section right now and type I hate poverty. Hashtag it, I hate poverty with Dr. Atimoe. I'd like to ask you a question.
Right.
Looking back right now, what mental shift made the biggest impact in your life?
What mental shifts? That question is tricky in my head. Explain, please. Could you explain a bit more?
All right. So, what's the biggest decision you made in your life when it has to do with mind transformation? For me, I told myself one of the biggest decisions I made was let it be known that I made efforts than for me to sit back and not make a decision. So, in all sphere of my life, at first I used to be scared of failure because I'm from the science background, so I really don't want anything to fall into failure or whatsoever. And then something happened in my life just before the COVID. I was like all alone. And in that loneliness, the only thing that was in my head was just go ahead. It didn't make sense. And the moment I started seeing success, results, it gave me the idea that, oh yes, in everything in life, just let it be known that you did your part.
So let me rephrase what you said and then I'll answer the question.
Yeah.
I'd rather fail trying
Good.
than succeed not trying. So I said earlier,
because you're never going to succeed in the first place if you don't even try.
if you don't try.
Yeah, so the best is to actually
to make the effort. There is a likelihood.
Yes.
There is a chance you might now succeed.
Yes, yeah.
Now there's an option, there's a choice, there's an expectation.
I know that there's how failure affects an individual, but I think if we constantly work on our mind, I believe that there's how that can actually be handled.
So failure isn't failure. Failure is a feedback. Thomas Edison says that each time he tried, when he was trying to invent the bulb, when he failed, he said, I've just found another way
of doing it
that won't work. And then he tries another way. Can I tell you this? And I say this with all sense of responsibility and humility. I have failed more than any of my counterparts that I know. I have failed more than any of my counterparts that I know. I have failed so much that I can't even remember which one. I have failed so much. In fact, my wife has lost track. She's lost track because of even the little one she's aware of.
So what happens to you when you fail? And I understand that failure is an orientation that comes to you that, well, you cannot attempt this anymore. It's a feedback. So how do you re-engage when you have failed?
Okay, again, I don't know if I can use myself as a classic example.
I know you are a word one, but it's okay.
Yeah, because I'm sometimes I question my energy. It's insane. Think about somebody working 13 to 17 hours in a day.
I'm multitasking.
For the whole month, except 4 days in a month, including Saturdays, and it's not normal. So when I try something and it doesn't work, again, like I said, and it's not just a quote, it's something I actually practice at an unconscious level. When I try that thing and it doesn't work, I see it as a feedback to try something else. That doesn't work, I see it as a feedback to try something else. But now it's not just now begin to fool yourself and just trying anyhow. Of course, you are intelligently making efforts in what you do.
Okay.
But essentially or summarily, it's better to fail trying than to succeed doing nothing.
Doing nothing. Wow, thank you so much. I think we're going to stop here. Actually, you've loaded us with a lot of stuff today. To be honest, we talked about mind recalibration, and if you've got any questions, again, do well to go over to our website, World Wide Web, or www.theanchoredlivesministries.org. Go over to the appointment session and then booking your appointment with Dr. Tim throughout the month of November, from the 1st of November to the 21st. It's a free consultation time. But everything aside from that date, then of course you'll have to go through his personal assistant to be able to reach out to him. And so you are at liberty to also go and listen to all of our previous podcasts or even the upcoming one. It promises to be a good time. Once again, thank you so much for joining us in this podcast, and we hope to see you in the next one. Don't forget that trying or failure is just an orientation for you to try something better. God bless you.